What's the nicest thing you did for someone who didn't deserve it? I let my best friend stay with us when he had nowhere to go, and I thought I was helping him, but he was stealing from my sick mom behind my back. He moved in 2 months ago and told me it would only be for a little while, just until things got better. I didn't hesitate because we'd been friends since we were kids, and my mom loved him like a second son. So when he asked if he could stay, I told him yes, so he can rest and get back on his feet. But I had no idea what I'd eventually uncover. He'd wake up before everyone and go to sleep after, and always said he was job hunting or helping his mom's sister. I'd catch him standing by the medicine cabinet, pretending to clean or brush his teeth, even when it was 2 a.m. But I didn't say anything because I figured he was stressed. But one night, I walked past the bathroom and saw something in his hand, a plastic bag with pills inside. He flinched and stuffed it into his pocket and laughed and told me it was just vitamins, but his face told a different story. The next morning, mom seemed off. She was shaky and dizzy. So I checked her medication bottle, but it was too light. So I asked her if she took more than usual, but she looked confused and told me no. I didn't want to panic, so I told her I'd go get a refill just to be safe. I wanted to believe the pills were just old, but I was already starting to doubt him. I walked into the pharmacy and gave them the prescription. The woman behind the counter typed it in, looked at the screen, and told me it was already picked up yesterday afternoon. And in that moment, something inside me broke because I knew my mom hadn't left the house in weeks. I told the pharmacist exactly that, but she looked unsure and told me my brother picked them up, so I told her I didn't have a brother. She paused like she realized what that meant, but didn't speak. And she didn't have to because everything made sense right then. I drove home and my thoughts were racing. I didn't want my mom to know what I suspected, so I waited until she went down for her nap. Then I went into the spare room, packed up every single one of his things, and put them by the front door because I needed to face him before she did. He came home at 5 with groceries in one hand and fast food in the other and smiled like nothing was wrong and told me he brought me something, but I didn't move or open the door all the way. I stepped outside, handed him his stuff, and told him his visit was over. He looked confused and asked what happened, and I could see the fear rising in his eyes. I told him what the pharmacist said and asked him how long he'd been taking pills from my mother. He didn't answer, but his silence was all I needed to hear. He dropped the bags and fell to his knees and told me he just needed a few more days and that it wasn't what I thought. But I told him I wasn't going to feed someone's addiction, and that's when he stopped begging and started breaking, and the truth finally came out. He told me the pills weren't for him, but for his mom. She had the same condition as my mother and the same prescription, and he couldn't afford them anymore. He said he worked 2 jobs and was looking for a third, and he'd even moved his mom in with her sister and rented out their house just to cover her medical bills. And he hadn't told me because he didn't want to be a burden. He told me I'd already given him a place to live and he couldn't ask for more. So I stepped forward and hugged him, and he cried into my shoulder like a little kid. I told him this wasn't just his problem, it was ours now. And he swore he'd never lie again, and I believed him.